Hi, welcome to this lesson on data visualization with Flourish. In this particular lesson, we are going to be looking at how to use Flourish to design charts. Basically, Flourish is a visualization tool that is online based. What this means is that you need internet, good internet to use it. So the first thing is to go to the website, flourish.studio. When you visit the website, you might need to sign up first, which is what I'm going to just do. Personally, I just suggest signing up with Google. So this is what the homepage looks like. I have not created any visualization yet. So usually your project is what will be listed here, but since I don't have any, it's just going to be blank. So I'm just going to click on create new visualization. Now, when you click on create new visualization, it will show you all sort of templates, all sort of charts that you might want to use depending on the kind of data you are trying to visualize. So what I have here is a rough data set. This data is for out of school children in selected West African countries. This one is about GDP growth in some selected West African countries over time. So we are going to basically be visualizing these two data sets. So for the first data set, the first thing is to decide what you want to show. What kind of story do you want to tell with your data? So for instance, the first thing I'm going to be doing is just a simple visualization of each country and the total number of out-of-school children. So for this, you might want to use a simple bar chart. So let's just try that. So in our flourish visualization, we can just select a bar chart. And this is just a random template that you can customize depending on the data you want to show. Okay, so this is the preview that shows you the visualization. But if you want to edit the data, you want to change the parameters, you then come to data. So you see country and population. This is just the default data. So what we want is country, then number of out-of-school children. So we are going to start with editing. So when you come to these parameters here, you can see that the label is column A, which is the country, while the values are in column B, which is the number of out-of-school children. So it's very, very simple, very, very basic. Some much more complex visualization might have as many columns as required. So I'm just going to copy all my countries. So let's delete this, then paste. Okay. Now I'll copy the data itself, which is the total number of out-of-school children. Copy. I'll delete the previous data set, paste my numbers. And when you come to this preview, the data would have significantly changed. So what this shows basically is that the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is very, very, very large compared to its West African neighbors. Okay. But because we have a very, very large number for Nigeria, it's more like an outlier and it's distorting the visualization because it's too big. The stark difference is too much. So let's just, for the sake of this lesson, remove Nigeria. And that way you see the rest of the chart. You can see how they compare against each other and all that. So this is just the basics. This is basics. Let's just try our hands on another kind of chart. So I'm going to come back to Flourish. So I'll click on New Visualization again. This time around, let's visualize this old data set, which is the GDP growth of all these countries over an 8-year period. So for something like this, a line chart is better because you want to show the trends, where it is rising, where it is falling, and all that. So you can just come here and select a line chart. This is just a standard line chart that shows data. And you can see the default example here. And you can see that the data set is different. It's not like what we had here, where it's just two columns. Here we have as much as 7. So this is the year, which is the label. Then these are the values from column B to column H are the values. So let's just input the data. This will be year. Then our countries. So let's preview. So we can look at Sierra Leone 2015. GDP growth was minus 20.49. Cape Verde in 2020 saw a very, very sharp decline. Then they saw sharp rises. So basically, data is very, very stable to an extent. And now you notice that there's a significant decline for all the countries in this particular data point. And that was because 2020 there was COVID-19 and a lot of countries suffered economic recession. So it's understandable for virtually almost of the country to have, suffered some form of loss at this point. And so let's say we want to try our hands on a pie chart. And you just come here, select the pie chart. A pie chart is very similar with a donut chart, which has a hole in the middle, but they are not the same. So this is an example of of a pie chart. As you can see, there are just 4 values here. When they are too much, they become clumsy. So let's just copy these data sets for our pie chart visualization. So we have plenty countries here, about 8 or 9. When you preview them, you see that they are too much, just too much. So let's just reduce them to about 6 or 5. And now that you can see that the pie chart makes more sense, you can really see that data is much more easier to understand, and it makes more sense now. Now that we've gone through how to select our charts, how to input our data, let's just quickly run through some customizing options. So basically, customizing is making your chart look beautiful, making it look more appealing beyond just the data set. So this is where you select the chart type. So basically, controls and filters allow you to spotlight, you know, certain countries in this kind of data set, for instance. Colors, if you want to change the colors or you want to choose another theme. This is reddish. If you want it to be green, anything you want, anyhow you want to play around the color, depending on maybe the branding of your organization, the standards that you use. So you can just edit the palette. And your first color here, you can put whatever it is that you want, and you get result. And you can drag them up or down depending on what you're trying to achieve. So that's the basic thing about colors. For the bars, so you can just tweak the settings here. Labels, the data labels in front, or all this number of out-of-school children, Cote d'Ivoire. Even though we have everything listed here, this label still allow you to click on each and see a sort of pop-up describing what each bar is. So the x-axis is where we have the values. We can play around it to can change the style. So the same applies to the white axis. The plot background is if you want to change the background from white, which I don't recommend you do. For the legend is already there. Sometimes you have, for certain data sets, you have, for instance, this line chart. When you come to the legend, which is turned off, you have all the countries and their color codes. But if you're having this, you might need to remove these labels here, since you're having them as legend, because it makes it too clumsy. Then pop-ups, these are just visualizations and animations, annotations, animations itself. Then the layout is just the general chat layout. Now, the areas that are really interesting, they are the header, because you can't just give people this kind of data set. You need to provide some kind of information uh, on the data set, on the visualization, and all that. So you can have a title. So you can say, uh, uh, school children select West African country countries. Okay. So it will give you the data, the heading, or the title rather. And you can have a subtitle, the Francophone countries lead in number of children not attending primary school. So you see the subtitle is significantly different. And so that's just the basics of the header. You put your title, you put in a subtitle. You can still put in a third subtitle, an additional text, but that usually is not necessary. For the footer, this is where you have your source, maybe the logo of your organization. So, uh, for instance, if your source is World Bank and the link to your source, don't forget to put the link here. So you can say source World Bank. Another interesting thing, another cool thing you can do is to add the organization logo. So let's say my organization is Google. I'm just going to download the Google logo and come here, click on this arrow icon to upload, select Google, and you can see the tiny Google logo here. So you can now increase the height and maybe the margins. You can reposition it as required. And yeah, this makes so much sense than what we initially had. So you can just play around the colors depending on how you want to brand it. But the standard is to have a title, a subtitle, a source with an hyperlink of where you got the data. Could be MBS, it could be GovSpend, it could be any data platform or any data portal. Then the logo of the organization is also good. So to publish your data or to export it, you just come to export and publish here. So you can download as a picture, download image. Then you can publish and embed. So when you do this, you click on publish to give you an embed code. You can now embed this on your website to make it interactive for anyone using the chat. But if you download the image, it's just going to be a snapshot. You can as well add that to your website, but it will not be interactive. People will not be able to uh, play around or see the interactivity.